What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about MSTR strategy today. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It's the 27th day of January. Here we are at about $160 per share with roughly 4 hours left in this day of this week here. A lot of volume, my friends. A lot of volume. Like, it's crazy how much volume has come in at these low points. Okay. MSTR is getting ready to move to the upside. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. I did assume that we were going to see lower prices. I did assume that we would go a little bit lower than this, and I don't think so anymore. I think we're accumulating. And perhaps you do see a lower low. My last prediction, I forget what the call was. Let me just see here. Let's use this from a low to a high. Maybe it was that we'd go right to the golden ratio. I can't remember. Or it was that we'd go a little bit lower. What was my last call? I don't know. If it was that we'd go lower, then I was wrong, and we're not going to go lower. But I just want to say now very confidently, I think that we do find support here. I want to show you guys something that I thought was interesting, and that is the open interest total expiry, right? January 16th was a very big day for MSTR because a lot of options expired on the day. A lot of them rolled over too, but we look here. What I was hoping for was that we would see a flip, an inverse of what the last year has been, right? Where the calls outweigh the puts largely. And after January 16th, now this week here for the expiry on January 30th, the calls outweigh the puts even more. It was like a 0.8 put to call ratio. Now it's a 0.4 put to call ratio. It kind of sounds bad, but it's not. Let me show you why. Okay. While the calls do outweigh the puts largely here, and that is a fact, you look here and you can see that's the largest spike that we have. There's nothing else that dates out past June 16th here. There's nothing else that comes close to this as far as size goes. We look at the call open interest. I can't move the cursor to it. I keep trying to move it and it gets away from me. But you look at the call open interest and notice how it says 283,000 shares. The put open interest is 137,000, or contracts, maybe not shares, contracts, whatever it is. Maybe it is shares. I don't know if they do it by contract or by share, but whatever. Anyways, the total is 421,000. That's a lot. That's a lot. But we look at this video here, and this was taken back in like a month ago, is what it says. I think it was taken at the very end of November. I was looking for one in December, but I don't think I went over this in my last video, which is kind of unfortunate. But we look at this here, 758,000. There were 415,000 calls by themselves. 415,000 calls by themselves. Now, in total, we have 421,000 calls and puts altogether. So what I'm saying here is, of course, and then I think, let me see, that put to call ratio, yes, it was 0.82. While the put to call ratio has dropped a lot, the total level of open interest has also dropped a lot, you guys. Like, the total level is barely above what just the calls were beforehand. And again, look at how large this spike is here compared to anything else. It stood, and this is why we were focusing on this. But now this spike is not anywhere comparable to any of these other ones. All I'm trying to say is I think we flushed out the longs. I think we flushed out a lot of the leverage positions, right? Or margined positions, whatever you want to call them. The derivatives, we flushed them out. And I think that with that, we are ready to move up. I mean, cutting it in half, that's almost half, at least like 40%. That's pretty damn good. So I think that we're going to see some recovery. I do think that we found our low. And of course, we look at this here from a relative low to a relative high, and you're right at the golden ratio, right there at 152. Maybe that is what I called for. I don't know. I want to say that's what I called for. Maybe I called for that. Maybe I called for lower prices. I don't know. But 152, watch me say that, okay, I was wrong, that we're not going to go down, but then you watch my last video on MSTR, and I called for that exact level. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It just matters if you're making money. And I think anybody who's buying MSTR at this point is going to be making money in the short term. I wouldn't be surprised with the level of volume, the astonishing levels of volume that are happening here without any price movement at all. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we saw very BART-like behavior and you snap back to these $305 levels, you guys. I wouldn't be surprised in the least. This is the time where if you have friends who are interested in crypto, but it's too risky, but they kind of want to explore. They just don't know what to do. Get them into MSTR because that's a perfect traditional method, a traditional vehicle to get involved in some type of way with the crypto ecosystem. You know, maybe they're not with it enough to buy Bitcoin, but they're with it enough to buy MSTR. You know, my grandfather was very skeptical of crypto, but he had no problem buying MSTR. I have a grandfather who invested in MSTR because, again, it was that kind of in between traditional and nuanced finance, right? And I'm just saying, this is the time where if you're one of those people, or you just want to make a speculative play on MSTR, or you know people who are thinking about getting into crypto, but they're not quite sure, this might be a good in between. This is a really good time to get in right here for MSTR. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Anything can happen. I can be wrong. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. It's going to happen. We were very wrong about MSTR. This was probably my biggest headache over my career as a YouTube analyst. Like this thing just proved me wrong left and right all throughout. We're going to try to do it right here. We were right on the way up, but we were not right on the way down at all. And again, that would just be ironic if I was right here, and I'm not going for it. But who cares? I don't care. The main point being that I do think we're going to come up, and we probably come up in a very, very short amount of time. Very, very short amount of time. So get it while the getting's good. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. We'll keep an eye on this bad boy. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of Q1, by the end of March, MSTR was $100 or higher from where its price is now. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we were $200 higher than where the price is now by the end of March. We've got a lot coming in a very short amount of time. You're not bullish enough. And I expect that this will correlate directly with the success of Bitcoin's price action as well. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. If I'm wrong, maybe we do have one last little flush out. We form some bullish divergence, and then we rally. But at worst, we're just going to dump a little bit. It's not even worth focusing on. I would buy here and sit through the pain happily, because what's coming next is going to be, it's even at a small level, even at a small degree here, it's going to outweigh this downward move immensely. So that's my thoughts. That's the game plan. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.